So next up, you've got this whole set of music-related tracks that I'm not going to go into great detail here. Now, if you're doing some scoring or some music composition, having signature and tempo tracks and chord tracks, very useful for that. Not going to use them for a final mix of, say, a TV episode. So just to give you an idea, these are pretty standard stuff if you've got your standard global tempo setting to 120 beats per minute. But if you've got a song that changes gradually or suddenly, then you automate that on a tempo track. I'm not, as I said, going to get into detail of any of these kind of tracks. It has a built-in score editor too that links to this, not for today. The folders are one of my favorite features here. Now, Pro Tools finally in 2020 has folders, and I'm very glad for that. Reaper's folders work, but they're not my favorite because it's not a real folder. It feels like it's just a minimizing device to make things really small. So I really like the behavior of folder tracks and how you can space them visually. And you can also have folders inside of folders. And just to give you an idea here, I'm going to let's add 3 extra audio tracks here. And you can make any existing selection of audio tracks and then say, move selected tracks into folder. I think it's what it should be called. Move selected tracks to new folder. So it creates a new folder there. So there's my example folder. And as you expect, it's a folder that can minimize and maximize. Now, folders don't take audio. You can't put audio on there. It's really just a folder. But they can do a few other things for you. So when I expand this folder, you can see by the indent that these 2 tracks are in the folder. I can, again, color code this to some color. Color coded the selected track. I can color code this. You have to click twice to deselect. Color coding my folder here. Now you can record enable your entire folder together and also mute and solo your entire folder. So if you organize your project by those different layers of sound design, having your sync sound, your dialogue, your effects, your music in different folders, it's a very quick way to solo all the music. You can also do that with aux buses, which are group tracks over here. But this is a very quick way for me to work with even subsets of that I don't necessarily want a bus or a stem for, but I want a quick way to solo all of that together. And that's really all you can do. You can't automate a folder. You can't do routing on a folder. That's what you use other buses and groups for. But you can mute and solo, record, enable, monitor. And this group editing is quite useful. Now I want to duplicate this track for you into my folder. I'm making 2 copies here, and you can see they behave separately as clips do. But when you enable group editing, it links this. You can see there's this dotted texture on the folder track. Without putting that on, without having that enabled, you can still edit stuff together on the group track. You can trim, you can cut, and that does that to all the clips inside the folder. However, if you look at the individual clips, you can still do stuff to them individually. If you enable group editing, they are linked. It's like a linked clip. Now, whatever you do to the one happens to the other one. Now, this is quite useful when you're working with split stereo files, or I use this feature for classical location recordings that I make, where I have a lot of microphones and they always need to be edited together because they record the same concert. So then I enable group editing, then I can cut, edit, fade, move things around as a group, which is quite a useful feature to have. But that's pretty much what you can do with folders. But as I said, other than selecting tracks and packaging them in a folder, you can also right-click, not command, just right-click and add a folder track and call it something. And now this folder is in the other folder. So I can put this audio in that folder, and you can see there's a further indent level. You can see dragging and dropping things. It shows you with a green line where it's going to land up if you just want to reorder them. But if you drag to a folder, that little green line shows you with an arrow, it's now going to go into this folder or into this subfolder to package things in folders. Now my standard post-production template, which you'll get to see, has folders for those main stems or groups, actually 4. I have a sync sound folder, I have a sound effects folder, I have an ambience folder, and I have a music folder. But specifically for the sync sound, the location sound, I will have subfolders for each scene, which makes it very easy to navigate a very big project. It's easy for these projects to go into 100 to 300 tracks because the track count does not affect how the CPU uses that, more the plugins and things that you use. So I would like to tailor a dialogue track for that specific character, for that specific scene, and I package that into subfolders. You can also duplicate subfolders. So once you've set up the 6 tracks that you need for this specific type of series, then you duplicate that and all the settings and routing stays intact inside the folder. So let's delete the subfolder. Don't need that now. I'm going to keep the example folder, keep it hidden away. Let's delete that guy too. And let's mute it so we don't hear my voice twice.